name is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
David.
Where's everybody?
9 info bots.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello, everyone. Dave Robinson here, father of geologist Daniel Robinson. Thanks so much for being here with me. Really glad to see each and every last one of you being here tonight. Those who were able to come on the Instagram side as well as the Twitter side. So thank you so much for joining in. This is the week here. I want to do another Q&A, a little part of Q&A, as well as talk a lot about about my son's story to give you some context of what happened over the years, where I stand at right now in search of my son, and what we are planning to do going forward. So thank you so much again, like I say, for everyone who's here tonight. I see a few on Instagram side, on my personal page, as well as those who are on Please Help Find Daniel. Thank you so much. Those also in the comment section. If you're in the comment section, I really want to appreciate you too. Those on the YouTube side, Facebook, and also Instagram, Twitter. So thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Today, I just want to try to see why my screen's so small, but today I want to be able to talk about like some other family members' story out there, because there's a lot of people that go missing every year. Something that's very important to me. Like I said last week. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. Okay. I want to make sure I get my screen right. I think we have some little issues with the screen, and I want to make sure that I'm getting everybody on. So, again, I apologize for starting off this way, but thank you, everyone, again. But yeah, I want to talk about some of the families that have missing loved ones. Like I said, it's something that's very important to me. I am, really, I have never known that so many people go missing in our country until my son went missing. Like I was telling you last week, I was sitting down in my area of my home where I tried to relax and try to make sure that I get rid of some of the things that have been happening in my time, my wartime experiences. Being that I'm a veteran, a combat veteran, and sometimes we have to deal with a lot of things that we had to take care of when we were in service. So those are the times that was able for me to be able to reflect and try to move on and move past. But then you end up finding yourself out, like I say, for myself and my family, I found myself out in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona searching for Daniel. But at the same time, it educated me. I started learning a whole lot more about missing American cases, why people go missing. My family and I, we have a real lived experience of why some people remain missing, and some of the things that could happen, that could be improved and done a lot better. Those type things. So it's really helpful, but it's also hurtful, more so when you have a missing loved one. But it's helpful because it give us as a family opportunities to try to help as many families that we can along the way. And so that has been my journey from the time of my son going missing until now, is to try to do everything I can to not only do everything I can to find Daniel, but to make sure that I'm also searching for other families while I'm doing so, and do, like I say, anything I can to help that process. But to go along, I'm really trying to see if I can get the screen right, because I see I have a half screen, and I'm trying to figure out why it got that way in the set where I'm trying to clear that off if I can, and see if I can get something that can better this. I just don't like the outcome. The screen, I'm not getting it right. But I'm just making sure that one on Instagram having a hard time. A lot of times when I'm doing these lives, I have some issues for Instagram, and I want to make sure that you guys can see me okay. That this smaller screen is not being a hindrance to the way you can see my image here. Let's see if I can fix this real quick. There we go. I got it. All right, now this is even better. I think all of you should be able to see me a lot better. I hope on the Instagram side. The screen looks a little small still, but again, I want to share some of the stories, and I want to first start off with talking about my son's story just a little briefly for those who don't know about Daniel's story. It's a continual mission of mine to find my son. When I was traveling those 2,000 miles from Columbia, South Carolina to Arizona, I had to treat my son's case like a mission. I had to put on my military hat back on, the training and you name it, just to make sure I can be able to do everything I can, keep a level head, keep my emotions down enough to be able to be effective for Daniel. So I didn't know what to expect when I made it to Arizona, but I definitely had to make sure I do that. But Daniel, geologist by trade. He grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. My family, we like 4 generations, Columbia, South Carolina. But he's the youngest of his siblings at the time, and he a lot of people know that he grew up with he's born without a right hand. Something that never ever been, I say this all the time, nothing that's been a hindrance for Daniel. Daniel only one time asked his mother what happened to his right hand. Of course, she gave him a story of why, of where, and he never asked again. But at the same time, for us as a mother and a father, we had our concerns about school and things like that, dealing with other children. Sometimes children can be hard to deal with. You know how it is growing up, going to preschool and some of these other schools. Children can be really harsh at times, ask a lot of questions and things like that. But one thing we have found for Daniel, he though we wanted to help him by getting him prosthetics to help him along the way, he always had this thing where he just rejected it. He didn't like it. He just wanted to be himself. And so he had to teach me and his mother that he just wanted to be himself. And he proved that. He proved that in the long run. We saw him just growing up, like I always mention a lot, just some of the smaller things I talk about. It's a whole lot of things. Teaching himself how to even tie a shoe, to be his siblings in video games, how to adjust when it comes to teaching himself, when he taught himself how to play the French horn, his first instrument. Also the trumpet, and he did a little bit of sports, and just all of that. So being a younger child is like any other child. Daniel always also was a person that wanted to achieve or overachieve over his siblings, his older siblings. So All of them are scientists by trade now, but he definitely looked up to his siblings, his older brother, and wanted to do a whole lot better. So he have been doing a lot of stuff like, you know, being an academic all-star in junior high school, to getting awards in elementary school, to graduating with honors once he got to college of Charleston, South Carolina. So you know, and he majored in geology. But his spirit, very good spirited young man. Again, Daniel is a person that brings a lot of people together. You can see right here, he going missing. I mean, thousands of Americans all across the country, even abroad, those who were international people came in together to try to help me locate my son, supportive in all kind of ways, whether that was funding through donations, to making phone calls, to prayers, to good comments that I see in the comment section, keep my morale up, to you name it. People just came together. And so I really say that's a sentiment of his spirit, the kind of spirit of person he is. Very friendly. Story really quick was when Daniel was in college at College Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. His siblings, twin sisters, was in college along with him down in College Charleston. And oftentimes, him being the freshman in his freshman year, I think they were in their sophomore year or they going into their senior year in college. They was really concerned about their young brother because he's always with his friends, and so he liked to hang out with his friends and have fun. And you know, so they report, hey, but they can walk down the street like his sister would tell me, and people run up to him and they know him all around the campus. So very, very friendly oriented person. People like Daniel. He definitely could pull a lot of friends. Him and his friends did their first travel to Puerto Rico for trips, and they go camping and, you know, all kind of things. But to go along with this, Daniel also has an entrepreneurial spirit. His goal is to be a millionaire before he turned 30. He also wanted to own his own business. He wanted to do something in this field of geology, but own his own company. And to that, one thing, Daniel, when he graduated from college, he went to Flagstaff. Flagstaff was some class he had to take right after graduation. I didn't really understand why, but he took a class right after graduation to Flagstaff. But once he got there, he said, hey, I'm not coming back to South Carolina. He fell in love with Arizona. He loved Arizona. He stayed in Arizona. He went to Phoenix. He found a friend, a person who worked for Matrix New World, and he lived there for a while. The gentleman to get his apartment, and again, I want to back up a little bit. He also landed his first job with Matrix New World. Matrix Southwest Groundwater is another name for it. As a field geologist, they hired him on. Also, they call it a hydrogeologist, because, you know, that company is an engineering company that do a lot of assessing of the waters, the groundwaters. They do all the scientific stuff with the waters, to test the groundwaters and things like that, how much volume and how much water, volume of water could come out of those groundwater, the wells and things like that. So they need a geologist for those jobs. So often that's what they have in that company. Daniel was one, doing a very important job for Arizona. Arizona being a desert state, need that water, need that groundwater, the Colorado River, and et cetera, et cetera. They have the aqueducts, also the canals that run through. But those things are important for Arizona. So I would like to say Daniel's job when he left South Carolina is very important to Arizona. But definitely he took the job, and very proud of him as a father, as a mother. His mother and I, of course, are divorced, but we both are proud of our son. You know, he's done an excellent job. Just graduated, like I said, when he graduated with the honors, and then for me as a father, he showed me that, hey, look, hey, I'm not coming back to the bird nest, I like to call it, and I'm standing, spreading out my own wings and standing on my own 2 feet as a man. Daniel started off with the first thing he did, he took some of those skills that I taught him as a little boy, him and his brother and the sisters, teach him how to fix vehicles, up under the vehicles and things like that. But he took those skills and utilized it when he took the little money he had when he first started that job and got a vehicle. He sent me a picture of it. We like to call it, like I said in public before, I like to call it a hoopty. That's the name that we just use, meaning that it's almost like a Ford, fits or repair daily. But it was something that he started off with, and he felt proud about it because it gave him an opportunity to be self-sufficient, to make it to work on time, to, you know, because he really wanted to make sure he's doing a very good job for his first job, and, you know, and do all the things. He's really, really excited about that. But I remember him fixing it and learning to utilizing those skills, like I said, that I taught him when he was a little boy. So be able to fix that vehicle, keep it going, keep it running. Uh, and I remember when he first got his Jeep, that Jeep that we all, this infamous Jeep that we all talked about now. When he first got it, he was very excited. He sent me a picture of it. I'm here in South Carolina, and he wanted me to come see it. And he was really happy about his first vehicle because it was a sentiment to him that, hey, look, I'm a man now. I'm handling my business. I got my own vehicle, a newer vehicle, and all the things like that. So it made him feel really great, and I felt great for him. I saw my son and his siblings as well during the time when one of his siblings was getting married. They all came back Columbia, South Carolina, where she got married. But you know, that was during the COVID time, so it was a little, you know, one of the things that we were dealing with. But once they was here, we had some plans. We made plans. Daniel wanted to show me his Jeep. He wanted to come out. You know, he's been always that thing. Once he got in Arizona, he always had this thing, wanting to somehow try to convince me to move and live in Arizona. He just loved Arizona. But the thing is, you know, we made plans. The plans was that I was coming in July to spend time with his siblings, him and his sibling, one coming from California, the other already lived in Arizona. And we were all going to spend some time with each other in July. And that was the irony to this whole story, because when Daniel went missing, his Jeep ended up showing up in that Sonoran Desert almost 30 days later in July. July 19th was the date. So to back up a little bit, Daniel, he's done a wonderful job at the company. He did have some reservations later about working with the company. He had some things that really worried him about the company, something with the leaderships and things like that. But one thing that also was problematic for Daniel is the fact that, you know, when he goes out to these sites, and I talk to him a lot, it could be day or night sometimes to get these assignments. But when you go out to these sites, he had to provide his own materials. He had to provide his fueling to, I mean, you name it. And then what the company do is reimburse. He had to keep receipts and this and that and get reimbursed. But a lot of times those reimbursements come kind of too late for, you know, things he had to take care of, you know. And so he tried to figure out how to navigate that. But as a man, he's been handling that business for himself, taking care of those things. Very proud of him. But except he had some issue, because I know it only because he ended up working for Instacart. And so those Instacart reasons is the Instacart is one of the reasons why it wasn't good for the company to push the money that he had to come out of front and then get paid later by the company. Those things was an issue for Daniel. So, but what I want to say is he got assigned to a well site, like he always do, get various well sites, job locations all across Arizona. Like I said, it could be night and day. I talked to him a lot. He'd say sometimes watching these guys while they doing something with the water. Me and him just having long conversations for hours at night. You know, and so but this particular day, according to his company, he had two assignments. He had one that was just on June the 23rd of 2021. He had two assignments that day. One to go out to a well site, because there's this whole two well sites, but they all connected underground because there was a development that was going to be built in the area. And like I was saying earlier, what I didn't say is that whenever there's any development being built, they have to have two well sites, have to have water, utilize groundwater. And those groundwater, before they even can build any community, that groundwater had to produce at least 100 years of water, and then it had to be able to recharge itself. And how they know that? That's why they need geologists and scientists to do that determination of those groundwaters. And so Daniel was there to assess those two sites, one in off of Verada Way in Buckeye, and the other off of Sun Valley Parkway in Buckeye, but the Sonoran Desert in Buckeye. So we made it to the first well site according to his company, and finished that. What I saw from Daniel's phone is that he took a couple pictures of logs. I don't know what he did with the company, but he did take some pictures of log I'm assuming that he gave the company whatever those laws. I see these laws, but I don't know what they mean. The pictures that he took, the writings and things, but I'm sure he gave that information to his company, and then his job was to go meet a person from a drilling company called Weber Waterworks. His name is Ken. To meet this Ken out at this other well site off of Sun Valley Parkway. Ken did give Daniel a call that morning. They supposedly have never met each other, but gave him a call that morning, telling him not to show up yet because they had some fueling issues. That was really early that morning, around 7-ish in that morning. But from that point, I can go through the details, but I would do that some other time because I really want to get to these questions and I want to be able to talk about the other families out here. But he met the guy off Sun Valley Parkway, left that first well site area, went to the second well site area off of Sun Valley Parkway. According to Ken, that's where the story picked up from Ken. Ken said he met my son out on Sun Valley Parkway at the gate, and they had a brief conversation there. My son followed him into the desert. We 1 mile west, 2 miles north, made it to a well site at 9 o'clock that morning. They had a brief conversation once they got there about the weather. There's a weather storm coming. There's two ways you can look at the story. Whatever Ken said, one point he said it was raining, one point he said it was about to rain. Look at the weather report. But the ultimate thing was he said my son spoke about things about going to Phoenix to rest, though he lived in Tempe. And he was tired or something to that effect. And he looked at my son's eyes and all kind of stuff. But the whole point is he said my son waved off to him, got in the vehicle, drove off, and never been seen again. Now, 30 days later, my son's vehicle showed up. Like I was saying, it showed up right here. I wish I had the picture a little bigger, but it showed up in a 20-foot ravine in a remote area of the desert, about 2 or almost 3 miles away from that well site, further into that desert and remote area. It was in a 20-foot ravine, lying on the side at the bottom of that ravine. And it was lying on the passenger side, according to law enforcement and according to the rancher who found the vehicle. And according to law enforcement, everything he was wearing on his body, from his clothes, from his underwear down to his socks, was lying 3 feet away from the vehicle in a pile. All his personal effects was there. All the case on the water that he brings to work with him was untouched. The cases of water, and so those type things were located in that vehicle. Fast forward to go back when I had to put in a missing person report on June 23rd. I got a call from my daughter sometime that evening, and it was my daughter was really uptight. She had a person from Dane's job come to her apartment. She thought that was really, it was bothersome to her. At first, she didn't know how this guy knew where she lived, but he explained that he's off the job friend of Daniel. And being a friend of Daniel, he drove there, I think, on occasion according to this gentleman, and that's how he knew that he see if Daniel was there. He explained to her that no one have seen him since that morning. He told my daughter that it was around 8 o'clock that morning. No one had seen Daniel. And he's just looking for him, right? And so the scene is there. Of course, that made her really upset. My daughter called me. I was here in Columbia, South Carolina, again in my area of my home where I like to relax. And Daniel, like I said, Daniel, my family, everyone knows what that place is, to relax and try to reflect, and those kind of things that you deal with when you're a combat veteran. And so from that point, of course, I had to hear my daughter. I can hear it in the voice, the reflection in her voice. I know she's really upset. She's really don't know what to do. She's really, really uptight. So I had to make sure, of course, as a father, to make sure she's calm, make sure she's relaxed, make sure she's being able to be okay. And so once we got to that point, I had her to go to Dane's apartment, take someone with her, which she did. Go to his apartment to see if he's there, because I didn't like the way the story sounds. So I want to make sure she has someone going with her. She did make it there. When they got there, I was told that I was on the phone with them. I was told that she could see a light on inside his apartment through a blinds on the patio, but his doors are locked. But his vehicle is gone as well. That still wasn't something enough for us to really panic over, or for me to really get uptight about. We just want to make sure we do our due diligence first, and that was the first step. I also called his mother. I'm sure she called her mother. She called her sisters, I'm sure, and her brother. But I'm sure all of us was calling around family, friends, anyone we could think of that probably heard from Daniel. And lo and behold, of course, no one heard from Daniel. Those things started becoming a problem. That's when it started becoming a little more problematic, especially when I look at the time difference. We are 3 hours. We're 3 hours ahead of Arizona at the time of the year in June, and here in South Carolina. And so when I look at the time and I look at what's happening in Arizona, I'm like, hey, that's 6 hours since someone seen my son or heard from my son, according to this person. And so that's when it became problematic. So I say, look, that looks suspicious. It got a light on in the day. You have, some of those things. Nobody heard from him. I want someone to go into his apartment to see if he's okay. There was no foul play going on. Somebody did something and then took his vehicle. I mean, there's all kinds of things run through my head. So the first thing I did is reach out to the Tempe Police Department, which I was very hesitant. Like, to be honest with you guys, I was very hesitant, only because there were situations during the time where law enforcement was being called for different various reasons, and then the person they supposedly go check on, they end up shooting somehow. And so those are the things that was really problematic for me as a Black father, and living over 2,000 miles away. That was really hard for me to make that decision, but I had to make that decision really quick. And so I did so, called Tempe Police Department, who ended up, to give you a long story, brush it off and say it wasn't in their I guess, jurisdiction to do so, even though he lived in Tempe, because I mentioned the information I knew. They asked me questions. Only thing I knew at the time that was given to me from talking to the co-worker is that, Daniel's job was that, it was on the White Tank Mountains. That's the word I heard. So I was relaying that to Tempe Police Department, last seen near the White Tank Mountains, wherever that was. I don't know anything about Arizona. And because I said that, they said, hey, White Tank Mountains is in Buckeye. And they push it off the Buckeye to do a welfare check, or have them call them to get the welfare check done. And so eventually, of course, that's the first thing I had to do, try to do that. But at the same time, because of the length of time that Daniel been missing, because nobody heard, then I want to say, hey, it's a missing persons report. We need to find out. We already did our due diligence. We know he's not around. We know he's broke his character. All of that is already taken care of. So when I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me I had to wait an extra 2 hours before I can put in a missing person report. So I waited piece of 4 for those hours, and then called back again, and then asked for a welfare check as well. And they the one called the TP Police Department. What I was told is they went out to the apartment complex. They got out of their vehicle. First, I heard they did a drive-by, but later on, hindsight, I found out they say they did a actual knock on the door, and they did see the opening the blinds, just like my daughter did, with the light on. And that was the extent of the welfare check, which I really thought it was really helpful if someone could actually get into the apartment to check it out, but that never happened. But again, I was able to put a police report in, and when I did so, I was talking to Officer Cruz, who very, very friendly, very helpful, just everything, doing very good to me. From a person don't know, you never know when you have a missing loved one, you don't know what to ask, you don't know what to do, you don't know the steps, you don't know nothing, right? So it's new. So everything he was saying to me was really helpful. He was giving a lot of information. But there's one particular thing that wasn't helpful, was when as I was speaking to him, we get off the phone, on the phone all night, on the phone, off the phone. I was also calling Dan's job, and I was working it, you guys, working it. And when I found out that, hey, no, this area is the desert. It's the desert. He's in the Sonoran Desert, and when I heard the word desert and he's out there in this dark desert somewhere, lost. That's how they was putting it. I have an auntie from Pennsylvania was out, making phone calls as well. She's calling campgrounds and all kind of stuff. One person out there heard about it before we even heard about it, and said he was lost. And we were trying to figure out how he come up with that assessment, and no one in the public knew at the time, but that's what he said. And then so some of the things that we was able to do is learn a little bit more. Once I realized that this Sonoran Desert is a desert and he's out there probably in the middle of the desert lost, and I heard about some little things, I asked for a helicopter search. I asked for a helicopter. Hey, you guys got to put a bird in the air. My son is in danger. He's out there in the middle of the desert. He never been in this area before. He don't know nothing about this desert. All of that kind of stuff. Then that's when I brought up he have one hand. He's vulnerable to, all this kind of parameters. But that was enough for the Buckeye Police Department, who said that they can't not fly helicopters at night, which was really problematic for me because I'm a military veteran, served this country in Afghanistan in the desert. There's a different type desert, but out there in the desert, and the helicopters fly without lights all night. A lot of times it's our protection. So that was crazy to me. But being over 2,000 miles away, I had to kind of accept that at the moment. He did promise me that they're going to get it out there the next morning. They can get a helicopter out. And so I paced the floor, worked with him all night to get in sleep until the next morning because I needed to get this helicopter out there. But once that time came that day, they told me no. They also told me they could not do it. It wasn't authorized. It's higher up. So you make sure it wasn't his fault the way he was talking it. It's not my decision. It's the higher up's decision. And he explained to me, hey, look, that's their city and it's unauthorized, and it was a no-go. So they canceled it. They canceled the idea of having a helicopter go search for him. What they did do, the Buckeye Police Department, is put him on the NCIC database, telling me that, and you guys heard the recordings of me talking to law enforcement, would also told me that these put him on the database. There was no search, no active searches looking for him. But they did put him in a database where if he came across a camera of another law enforcement, no matter where he at in the country, basically, the camera will pick up his license plate. They'll pull him over, basically, and say someone's looking for you, basically. So that type deal, which was still problematic for me because when we didn't hear the language that I have gotten at the time was that, hey, it's not that important to us. He's a grown man. He can disappear if he want to. It was things I was told. And so Daniel didn't tell him he wanted to disappear. Daniel's not the kind of guy that would do that. Daniel loved his family. We love him. Daniel could tell us anything in the world that he wanted to tell us. Hey, look, and we would, of course, as a father, if you tell me, say some crazy stuff like, hey, friends, I want to be a bum, Daddy. I'm like, hey, why you want to be a bum? And of course, I would try to talk him out of it as a father. But but ultimately, whatever you want to do, he already know we're acceptive of anything they would like to do, and we definitely would try to help them as parents. But the thing is, go along with this for Daniel. Again, just the whole problem of everything the way things were done at the beginning. I still feel that is the reason why Daniel is missing today. We were, of course, when I made it to Arizona. I started driving, you guys. I want to back up. I started driving when I started hearing those things where they were telling me, hey, they weren't going to look for him. So I said I had to go do it myself. That's like I said, I had to take my military training while I was driving. I just grabbed everything because that's why I wasn't really thinking the way I should, because I grabbed everything, threw it in my vehicle, and just started driving. I could have just easily got on the plane, got faster. But once I got into Georgia, into Georgia going to Alabama, it was like, look, man, I got to get there. And so just while I'm traveling, handling business, on the phone calls and with the company and, all of that. I wasn't getting there fast enough. But once I got to the edge of Phoenix, my auntie called me and she was really excited. Say, oh, they're going to put a bird in here. They're going to put this Phoenix Firebird. That's the first time I heard of it. Some Phoenix Firebird helicopter. I was really excited and really happy about that. But my mission was, in my mind, once I got to Arizona, I was going to find my son. I was going to find him that day. I was going to get my son, find my son, and that's what I really believed. But once I got in Arizona, it was a different story. Picked my daughter up, who was living in Phoenix at the time, and she and we did a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. We went to the only thing I knew, being a military veteran. Whenever we get issues like when in Afghanistan, some things that happen, the first person we called is the Red Cross, right? So that was already in my head. I went to the Red Cross, of course, because of the COVID situation. They had a building. The building was open, but no staff was there somehow. And then I went to the NAACP, being a black man. We reached out to the NAACP, could not find them, their building. That was the issue I had during the time in Phoenix and then the Arizona area, I guess, what I was hearing at that time. They was getting heavily death threats and things going on at the time. And so they kind of just be very careful security-wise. So it made it very difficult for me to get help that way. So the next thing my daughter and I did was also went to law enforcement, and we wanted to make sure we gave them everything we can that we knew. In the meantime, we also was I spent a lot of money on the airport. And it might sound kind of crazy, but we checked literally every parking space there is in that Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, Arizona. Even the private ones and everywhere, just to make sure to do our due diligence again, to make sure Daniel did some odd thing that he never did before, skip the country or something, or town or something. I don't know. But my daughter at the time knew exactly what his vehicle looked like. She rode in them many times. As a matter of fact, even the week that he went missing, they had plans to go hiking that weekend. So, but the thing is, we checked every one of those spaces. I mean, going in and out, they had to end up going in and out the airport just to get to those spaces. But the thing is, we did those things. Went to the Buckeye Police Department, gave them everything we can, from photos of the bank statements to just everything we could think of to try to help towards finding Daniel. One of the things we asked for, and the really big question we asked for, and that's a typical anybody. When you first meet law enforcement, you sit down with them, the first thing you're asking for them to do is get these cell phone pings, right? Common sense. Here it is, during the time of 2021. Here it is now, 2025, but 2021, cell phone ping is obvious. We have things that we carry around every day of our life. This pretty much, anybody can tell you, a phone is your life. Pretty much, you have everything in it. And when you have those things, the technology we have in 2021 at time and now, that tells you everything. I have a smartwatch on, and my smartwatch can, keep up with a lot of stuff. So of course, that's the first thing, obvious. That's just no-brainer for anybody. That should be a no-brainer for law enforcement. It's no-brainer for anyone and utilizing technology the way it can be used to locate someone, right? So we asked for that, and then they told us first thing is, no, we can't do it. No, we can't do it because we can't get cell phone pings because it's not a criminal case. Okay, how can you get it? They can't get it. Oh, next question was, okay, well, y'all have any footage, because I know you go to many, here in South Carolina, I drove trucks for many years, and I've been in every state except for, of course, Hawaii, of course, and Alaska. But I've been everywhere in this, this country, and every state I've been to, you have traffic lights where they have cameras. Etc. You hear the stories where if someone was to go rob Bank of America tomorrow, I guarantee you, when it comes to that money, they can bet that person from the time they went to go dump their trash that morning out of their apartment or house or wherever they live. But somehow, when it came to being a human being, a person, what they told us was that all the cameras may have been off, or they can't find anything, but they end up finding some picture of Daniel's vehicle when he went to go travel to see his sister in California. So I don't know if that picture came out of California or Arizona, but that's the picture they say they have. But somehow they were unable to get any kind of footage of him living in his apartment, going out the street, going to the gas, whatever the case may have been, to get to this location so we could get something. So the next thing we had came up with, his mother called me, and she was like, he had this, the system is called like OnStar, but it's called a Uconnect. And I said, wow, okay, great. So the way she made it sound like he used it all the time. But so I mentioned the law enforcement. They said it's going to look into it. They first told me that when they came back to me, they say, well, we can't access it, or something to that effect. Then they said, well, we was able to get into it. They came back later, said we was able to get into it, but it came up with all 0 grids. And I'll ask them, like, what you mean by 0 grids? It's not showing no location. All the location is gone as 0, just blanked out. And I say, well, why is that? It didn't make sense to me. He said, well, the Uconnect folks says that only happens if somebody sabotage it, damage it, or disconnect the battery of the vehicle. Those kind of things would cause that. And so we even asked for, I think it was something else that can go, so kind of like almost like a low jack system part of that. They claim they can't get that. So anything we asked for, they say they couldn't do it. They can't do it, can't get it, can't do it, can't do it, can't get it. So that was been a problem for us as a family. And, you know, especially me being on the ground, it was really hard. It was really hard. So, of course, from that point, spending many days from my hotel room, going out, driving 40 miles up to Phoenix, to Buckeye, the Snoring Desert, to stand at that gate with my binoculars, trying to locate Daniel, looking in the desert, until I, you know, decided to start my own searches. And so when I decided, because the reason why I just had to do something, I was about to take my vehicle in that desert against Buckeye's advisement, because they really was like, oh no, don't go in there because you're gonna get stuck and go down ravines. And you know, I didn't know much about the desert, so to learn about the desert every night once I finished doing all my city search. During the time I had a city search, it wasn't a desert search. I had a city search where I was going to hospitals, mental health wards, homeless population. I mean, all across Arizona. Just doing everything I can to get information, be on social media, talking to you guys. Built the website, Please Help Find Daniel. Putting content up. I mean, I did a lot in the day, but at the end of the day, after thanking you guys, I made sure I try to get every comment to say thank you for support. But at the end, I also, before I went to bed, had to research. You know, like I said, I look at that desert with my binocular. It looked nothing like Afghanistan. I mean, it like dirt, it like desert, but Afghanistan don't have so much brush and stuff like that. So I had to learn a lot. I learned about that land out there. I learned about the prospect mines, the gold mines, the this and that, and the ravines and the washes. And I mean, I can just name it all. I can tell you everything about that desert out there now. But I had to do all of that to try to figure out how I'm going to get in the desert, because that's the only thing that kept me from my son. That's what I felt. And it was running me nuts. And so I was able to also, with social media, reach out to people asking, hey, anybody know about this desert? Anybody live in Buckeye? XYZ. People started hitting me up. I ran into a gentleman who actually lived in Buckeye, who actually been in the areas before, know about the area. And he and I got together. We crafted searchfordaniel.org to open a search for Daniel. And from that point on, that's where my first searches began. He became my search coordinator, and we kept the search started beginning from that point. So, long story, that the search is had gone on for 50 weeks. That's just the counting of the weekends. They're not counting the weekdays of searching, but the public search was 50 weeks now, as of April 12th of 2025, is 50 weeks. But it's not also counting the probably 40 some weeks of flyer distribution out in Phoenix and some of the other areas all across Arizona. That's not including the city searches that I was doing before the desert search. It is so much work. It's so much work, not including also the time and time again, especially when I got my private investigator traveling to places to follow leads. So a lot of movement parts, a lot of things, and you know, trying to keep everything rolling. But nevertheless, my son's still missing. Anybody want to? As a matter of fact, I need to put this up. If anybody have any information about the whereabouts of my son, and you want to come clean, or you want to be able to share what you know, I by all means use the number that you see on the bottom of the screen. You also can call the Buckeye Police Department, but use the number at the bottom of the screen. It's a tip line that I pay for, and you can remain anonymous. You have live operators that answer your call 24 hours, 7 days a week. Again, if you just don't want to talk to anybody, you say, hey, look, I want to be anonymous and I don't want to talk to anybody, but I know something. You can also text the word tip to the same number. Form will come up. You can still remain anonymous, like I said. Or if you want to talk to me directly, you can do that too. But you remain anonymous. But definitely after going on, Daniel will be missing this come next year in 2026, June 23rd, for 5 years. If I don't find him before then. It's time to bring some closure for me and my family. If you know anything, any amount of information can help. I mean, just a little that you may not think. And that's another reason why I ask everybody, if you can, please continue to ask for these flyers. I need to get the flyers out still, is because, I use an example. I said it before last week. Been in Arizona. I went to Arizona April 12th this year. But being in Arizona, I can go in Arizona, talk to people about Daniel, and they never heard the story, but they lived there all their life, and they've been there all their life. They've been in Phoenix, they've been in Buckeye, and didn't even hear the story. But some of you guys don't live nowhere near Arizona, live in another country, and you heard about Daniel's story. And so what I'm saying is room to still get these flyers. This flyer, like you see on the corner, get that flyer out there, because it just need to hit one person that may know one little something. And that one little something could be, something like, hey, on June 23rd, 2021, I was I was driving down the street because I was getting on the plane because the U-Haul or the moving truck took all our furniture down to Little Wissy, Georgia. I always like to use Little Wissy, Georgia because it's a small place. Little Wissy, Georgia, that's where I'm moving to. Was running down Sunvalley Parkway and I saw XYZ. I seen this or I seen Daniel. But they didn't think nothing of it. But then here it is, you take a flyer and you live in Little Wissy, Georgia, and you've been putting those flyers out in your community for me. And then you hit that person, they look at that flyer and say, you know what, I seen this guy, I seen him, and then they jot their memory and they reach out to me and have a tip that can lead to something, right? So that's what I depend on when I ask people to continue to do flyers and things like that, to say, yeah, Mr. Rob, you still want people to give, yes, don't trust me. Word of mouth is important. We have a big country here. We have all these states, 48 states out on the mainland, and we have a lot of cities, a lot of communities, towns. And I mean, even if I've been doing this for over 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years, I'm sure it's gonna be somebody who haven't even heard of Daniel's story. So, but it give me the odds a lot better when I have people like you sharing this story and passing the story along, whether you're sharing on social media with the flyers, word of mouth, those type things. It really helps. And that's not just talking about my family, but it talks about other families. So I'm gonna go in the comments section real quick and tell you all thank you for who all in the comment section. And then I'm gonna share some stories, some missing loved ones. Aurora, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you on the YouTube side. John, thanks so much for being here. No, I didn't play for the Giants. No, I have not. It would have been good if I did, but no. I cut my football time out way in high school somewhere. But also, Rebecca, thanks so much for your prayers. And prayers for you and and prayers for your family. My brother has dementia. His name is Michael. Yes, prayer for him as well. God is a good God, so I really, prayers for your brother as well, Michael, your brother Michael as well. So thanks so much for being here. And I'm glad you did this on Zodiac. Thanks so much for being here. Also tonight, a little bit, I'm going to answer some questions. So if you have questions, do like Zodiac did here. If you're on the Instagram side, I'm going to try to look at the screen because they don't allow me to put it here on the main screen. So I have to look off screen to see what you have put up. So that's why you see me look off screen. That's what I'm doing, looking at two different Instagram pages. But if you have a question, do like Zodiac have done here. Put the word question in capital letters like this before your question. Then I can identify it as a question or a capital letter Q or the question mark or something where I can identify your comment as a question. But Zodiac have a question here. Do you think someone or somebody had ran their vehicle into your son's vehicle intentionally and planted it in the ravine wherever the accident had taken place? That's a possibility because of the red transfer paint, and we still, to this day don't, it hasn't been tested. I haven't gotten it tested. I don't really have confidence that Buckeye Police Department would do that, or if they even have the vehicle at all. So like they promised. But the thing is, that red transfer paint is something that just cannot be ignored. Though a lot of indications to me is that, yeah, they really just push it under the rug. Law enforcement, I'm saying, push it under the rug because it's an extra layer of something they have to go check into. But yes, I wouldn't rule that out because of what my private investigator found evidence of is, the vehicle was staged in the area. Again, Zodiac, you will also know that gentleman that I told you guys last week, we'll be sharing some stuff with y'all pretty soon. Some very good, compelling stuff that law enforcement hadn't done. Of course, the work for me is still continuing on. We have people with brighter minds who's been put some things together well. And when you look at it, you'll find some things that matches up with the evidence that we already found. And so we'll be talking about some little possibilities of what to lay some things out, what really happened out there in that area where the vehicle was found. So look out for that. Also, Elena, thanks so much for being here. It hurts my heart that Daniel is still missing. Yes, thanks so much. It hurts me every day. It hurts me every day, especially around this time of the year. I tell you guys, for any family, and I'm just not talking about just for my family, but any family that goes through what we're going through, there's birthdays, there's holidays, there's so many things that families like ours have to go through, and it's never easy. It's never easy, especially like on the holidays when you don't see that person. Like his siblings. It could be a time where they say, "Hey, look, we're not coming to South Carolina this year. We're gonna spend, the holidays wherever the state they live in." That's understandable, but we don't go without phone calls, and don't go without sending pictures. My daughter send me pictures all the time, my twins, and and we talk on the phone. And so what I'm saying is during the holidays, and that really kind of stirs some things. I'm not a big or celebrate on certain holidays, but they are. And like I tell people before, we had Thanksgiving, we could have Christmas coming up. Some people don't celebrate Thanksgiving, some people don't celebrate Christmas. But one thing for sure, a lot of times these holidays give you a day off, and those day off, a lot of people travel across town just to see their see their loved ones. I'm saying miss love, but see their loved ones to be able to spend time with them, right? Because otherwise you don't really get it because you have to work, and a lot of us have to do these 9-to-5 jobs. So whenever you see these holidays and you don't get the opportunity, I'll give anything. I was looking and listening to, and you're probably gonna hear the video shortly. Video from a family that I love very much, Zelic William family. And one thing that was mentioned that I say here before all the time, like, well, I think it was from it's from Kaya Taylor family. And the mother said, I don't want to put the words in her mouth, but I'm going to say it in my way. I understood what she meant by it. Being a parent, your child could do something that kind of aggravates you or something for a moment, right? And I remember Daniel doing some things that would irritate me, sometimes, and I won't say what those things are right now, but I would give anything for that. I would give anything for that moment. And so what I'm saying is it is hard when you have a missing loved one and you miss all those family dynamics, those little particular things that you think you won't miss about a person. And you actually miss that too. How he drags with his certain words that he used when he's talking, and all the questions he have for me, and the 2-hour conversations that we always have. So those kind of things is really, really some of the things that you would miss. I don't see anything on the Instagram side. If you have any question on the Instagram side, please, you guys, put the question mark there first and then ask the question. But I want to say hello to Lisa, Mama Bear, Milk Tracy. Let's see who else I got here. Jess. Thanks so much for being here. And I think that's it. But everyone that's on the Instagram side. I can't see the other one, but everybody who's here. But thanks so much. Joseph, thanks so much for being here. You said I just finished watching Disappeared episode on Daniel's strange circumstances. Then when I looked him up here, and you are doing a live segment. That's a big woo-woo there. I hope you find him. Thanks so much. I truly appreciate it. And I really appreciate Discovery ID for still continuing to put those episodes out. It really helps. I hear people already all the way in London and the UK and Switzerland and everywhere else talking about that episode. That's really helpful. So I really appreciate it. But I want to mention one thing, though, I was have to say about the episode, and I say this respectively to Discovery ID, is that their mother and their brother, and I did feel a little sore because I'm on the ground. I'm on the family member out on the ground in Arizona fighting. And I remember when that episode was coming, they asked me to participate. I wasn't able to because I had some other obligations, but they did have his mother and his brother to do that interview. But they also used part of my interview from one of the affiliates that they already have, because I did many other interviews. But there's one particular thing in that episode that still is a sore thumb to me, and I want you to understand that, Joseph, and everyone else who ever watch it, is that the story, and the mother, I get it, the mother's a mother and the brother's a brother, but the story was put in a way that Daniel was this depressed person and down in spirit, and maybe all of this is some hurtful thing in his heart or something. And his house is array, and his dishes was dirty, and the trash is overflowed. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, and but it hurt me because I'm the only one who was in Daniel's apartment. After law enforcement, after my investigator, I was able to get access. But the thing, what I'm saying is, his apartment was far from what you saw in Discovery ID. There was no trash overflowing. So what I had to do, Joseph, I had to do a live like I'm doing right now, and actually show the public pictures of Daniel's apartment, more than I didn't want to at the time, because I was doing the investigation and of my own, because law enforcement doing it, I was doing it. I was doing an investigation. I didn't want to release it, but I released some pictures to show the public how clean this apartment was for a gentleman, for a bachelor, you want to say, a young man who's a boy. He's not a girl. He ain't got no pretty curtains up and some, fancy dinnerware or something, but for a guy. And when you look at his kitchen, there was no dishes in the sink. He had one pitcher that he must have left there when he was leaving out. His trash wasn't overflowed. There was I even had to open his fridge. The only place in that apartment that was a disarray was, and I got that from law enforcement. I got it first from Detective Biffin. Then I got it from my investigator, who came to me and said, Detective Biffin first, he was like, Mr. Robinson, your son is a messy child. No, you shouldn't be, because his mother told him better. But he showed me the pictures. Nothing wrong with the living room, nothing wrong with the kitchen, but his room was torn all up, right? And so when he said that, asked the question and showed me the pictures of his room, how everything was thrown all over the place, I'm thinking, like, as a parent, I felt kind of embarrassed, like he was a little kid again or something, that somebody else grown saw his room messy or something, And so, but when my investigator went in, I haven't been in that apartment from after the detective, but my investigator went in after the fact, and when he took the pictures of the entire apartment as well, he was telling me the same thing. I was trying to cut him off, like, oh yeah, Detective Biffin told me about his room, and he said, no, I want to show you something else. But my investigator did the work. Detective Biffin just went in and took pictures. This is law enforcement now, but my private investigator went in and took pictures too. But he explained those pictures, what he saw, and when he explained those pictures to me, he showed me that someone was looking for something. And he showed me the reasons why. He showed me the steps where things are done, because he could see that by looking at it. When he was out there actually assessing, actually looking for what was going on in that apartment. And then, so from that point, like I'm saying, is the only place that was messy to say about Discovery ID Disappeared episode is that the only thing you could take away from that is that from me as a father who's actually was on the ground, who's actually doing the work, who's actually investigating. And I'm not taking away from his mother and his brother, but I'm saying is I'm actually was doing the work. And it made me offended because we actually doing I was actually doing my own investigation at the time. And I didn't, and I'll be honest with you, the family didn't know some things that I just knew, right? And so when they did the episode, they're doing it by their feelings. It was just their feelings. It wasn't facts. So the things was I wanted to say that part is that I have to defend my son's integrity, the person he is, the genius that he is, the scientist that he is, and I'm very proud of him. So I had to kind of defend that in that way. So I'll try to do it in a way to say, hey, look, I'm not going to dump on the episode. The people are only going to make the episode the way they can to get interest in today's case. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it to the fullest because it need to be done. That's why I get awareness, and it shows. You say you looked at it, and I so happen to be doing the live stream. So and it helps. It helps keep Daniel's story out there. So I always tell people, yes, please look at that episode, but always remember, Mr. Robinson always going to have a reservation about that one little part. That one little part, I cannot stand it when I hear about it. I had to turn it off when I was watching. I had to stop it. I couldn't even watch the whole episode because it really made me upset because it's far from the reality on the ground of what that apartment looks like. When Daniel went missing, he didn't show up anymore. So I just wanted to put that out. All right. Somebody said I lost sound. Okay, y'all hear me now? I'm gonna have to come back here. Okay, y'all hear me now? Somebody give me a thumbs up. I just saw a message. Okay, you guys can't hear me. So I probably was talking the whole time and you couldn't get me. So if I was, let me know. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Say yes, you can hear me. If you can't hear me, oh, good. Thank you so much, Lady Diana. Thanks so much. I appreciate you on Instagram. I really appreciate that. I see thumbs up, Count Zodiac. Thank you so much. I don't know what happened with the sound when y'all lost the sound, but I'm glad I'm back. All right. I'll make sure I get it. I see all of your comments there. You can hear fine, Linda. Thanks so much. I don't know if you guys missed anything, how long I was gone. But I have a question. Thank you, Joseph. All right. Thank you. All right. Linda, thanks so much for your question. Are you still getting tips? Not recently. I haven't had any tips. My last tips, my really crucial tips. The last was last year. It was last year actually. I had some serious tips that, but I want to say it this way: the tips didn't come like it was something brand new. The tips was from, how I want to put this. When you're doing an investigation, especially you're a person like me, I don't have a crew. I'm not law enforcement. I don't have a detective crew or a team, and I don't have millions of dollars. Whatever law enforcement budget from the city managers and people. Make a long story. I've been getting floods of tips when Daniel first went missing. When I was really pushing hard, I had to work 3 strong months to get Daniel's story on the national stage. And doing that, trying to do interviews, oh my God, keep on social media, keep his website updated, holding city searches, then doing desert searches, and then running like a rabbit from the desert at noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, turning equipment in and rushing out to get into the city to meet the people who come out for the city search and do the city searches and all of that, and then go back home. Make a long story, and still investigating at the same time. I got a lot of information, and then it ended up getting lost in my files, right? And so last year I was going through old tips that I received in my files, and I still have some. I have some that still need to be explored. I have one that's out of California that need to be explored. But the thing is, I had this one that seemed very credible. It was an older couple. It was based on their eyewitness account. The time of day that was going down Sun Valley Parkway, the reasons why they were going down Sun Valley Parkway at that time, their really vivid memory of the day, the event, the time, all that stuff, right? And so, and I got that tip from a person like you guys, who's been following Dane's story, who's been trying to help me as much as she can from afar. And she was able to find this person, these people, because they was out on social media. I guess some kind of way word about them got on social media, and making a long story gave me an opportunity to get in contact. So, but that tip, what formed the search that I had on April the 12th this year. At the same time, when I went to go try to get that tip, start rolling the ball on it, I called the Buckeye Police Department, and they didn't tell me. This is the crazy part, you guys. They didn't tell me, but Detective Biffman either quit or he got fired. I don't know what happened. But they said, make a long story, they had me leave him a message saying that, hey, he went answer his phone. And so when I actually got in contact with one of the ladies, she said she talked like he was there. Like, oh yeah, asked him a question when I needed him. I told him, hey, look, I need to talk to him about Dane's case. And then they put me on the phone with someone else and say, he don't even work there no more. Like, that was crazy. But anyway, found out that he had a new investigator. They had a new investigator. I talked to the investigator. His name is Detective Justin Adams. He didn't know anything about Daniel's case. Then when he only mentioned when I said something about who I am, then he said, oh yeah, I'm trying to get updated about the case, right? So I knew that wasn't a place I can go right there at the moment to try to pursue this lead, right? And so that's why I told him, I asked him, he's very friendly guy to this day, very friendly. I want to believe that there's a reset with the Buckeye Police Department that he actually would do the work. And so that's why I really believe by the way he carries himself, seemed like he would. But I asked him simply to be a part of the search that I would have. That's when I was coming to you guys and say, hey, look, I'm gonna have to go out there and do this thing, right? But I need the funding and all the stuff. Make a long story. That's why I started at that point, because it's hard getting funding up for these type stuff. And so, so I set all that up, and also at the same time, I was able to look at again another tip that was given to me that was very coexistent with the other. And this other one was, and I'm gonna tell you this in the public, and we'll talk about this, and I'll show you guys one day. But it was a tip from one of my searches. While they was out searching, I somehow got that missed too. But one of the volunteers that was out searching on one of the grids that I was able to send them out to, found a tree, and it was the same tree area where one of our dogs. But they didn't tell me at the time. I didn't know about all this. But anyway, the dogs that I had to get myself, my own cadaver dogs, my own search dogs, cadaver dogs, for my search, not law enforcement. And that pinging on the area of a tree in this area. Make a long story, this tree was photographed by the volunteers, and this tree have bullet holes riddled in it, right? And so so those were the things that I decided to ask Buckeye Police Department to be a part of the search that I was going to have on April the 12th, and I need them to fully vet that again and search that area thoroughly, right? And he said, well, we could do it now. And I say, no, because after that while, that's from that point when he told me he didn't know nothing about Daniel's case, pretty much. He had to update himself. I lost trust again. I was like, you know what? Now I have to be there. I have to physically see you guys there. So I said, I just need your assurance y'all gonna be there, and I'll just give you the coordinates once I get there, right? Because that's for the coordinates. And so make a long story, and that's exactly what happened. Of course, you guys know my friend Joseph, Joe Petito. He called me in January. And he heard about the search, and he wanted to come as a friend. He always wanted to come help. So he came out to help us with that search as well. But it also, that search was based on that tips. Like I said, the tip is 3 parts. I had that first tip, like I said, with the elderly couple. The second was with the search volunteer, and then the third, I have the third search area outside of the line search of the area that I went to do line search was the area for the elderly couple, but I had to search with the Buckeye Police Department for that tree area, and then I had the Arizona Rangers part of that search. They did the what we call Pride Rock area, which I still today need this, and there's a reason why I need a line searcher there, but it's almost is for all these weeks, believe it or not, it's been a difficult way to try to get volunteers over there to do this line search that's really needed. But the people that they have, the Rangers had, they went up on Pride Rock to see what they say could be in the Lions Den. I didn't know Lions actually have one, but to search the area again. I've been up there myself and my daughter, believe it or not. We've been up there. We're looking for this lion den against Buckeyes. Of course, when they say, Miss Robinson, don't go up there on that mountain up there. There's a lion to live up there. When they said that made me want to go for real then. Like, oh, no, I'm going to see my son is not up there. So was able to do that. But I sent the Rangers up there again to double check that area. And so that was the search of that. But the tip wise, you asked the question, are they getting tips? No, not currently, but I hope so. The tip line is still there. The phone number is right here. Also, let me see if I can do this real quick too. Put this on the bottom. You guys can, I think I have the information, directly hit me up right here. This number, if you guys want to text me this number, you got information like directly to my public cell phone number. You can do that and contact me that way. I really would like answers to what happened to my son. If you have those, so you can do that too. Any more tips? Also, back to the questions and see, make sure I'm not missing anybody. If you have any questions on the Instagram side, no, I think I see one. But yes, again, Lady Diana, thank you so much for your question. But if you guys have any questions, put a capital letter Q or the word question before your question, so I can identify it. Did they find the tree? Oh, yes, I gave them the coordinates that day. And once I got to Arizona, I gave them the coordinates so they can actually be at the search. Because, I had a bad history with Buckeye Police Department. They said they'd do something and they didn't do it. For instance, I'm another example. Many of y'all don't know about this either. I had some really good tips about a prospect mine. Prospect mine is one of those mines that's not. It was a one that was digged by people who's not professional, but people look for gold. It's still gold in that area, right? And they have mines all over the place, but this one particular mine was unmarked, right? And it was found, but it was in proximity to walking distance for the area where Daniel vehicles last was found. And so I needed a search, right? And so, but it's on Bureau of Land Management side. I couldn't get them to do the right thing with that. I got the Buckeye Police Department gave me a promise they're gonna do it. They claimed they drove. Then they said, "Oh, we couldn't get to it because their tires on their UTV vehicle might get flat or something because of rocks or something to that effect." And so it never was done. So it's things like that that still puzzle me. We have another mine that is south of where the vehicle was found as well. I had a bit tire over. I had tire moved, but we can't get down in. Try to get Bureau of Land Management do that. Can't get them to do that. The owners, nobody would do it. So those things are still lingering when it comes to the area out there in the desert. So people say, Mr. Robinson's still gonna do any searches out there. I don't have any plans of doing the searches until I get, like you were saying, some credible tips. But I can say the things that linger in my head is those type things that haven't been done, or those areas that haven't been searched. Even after 50 weeks of search, the desert is huge. And it's still either direction you can go, it can lead to something else. And so, it makes it really hard, especially when you're just a civilian like myself and you're not law enforcement. Elena, thank you so much. That name sounds familiar. It sounds like a friend of mine, one of my battle buddies, but thanks so much for being here. The opportunity together with family. Yes, during the holidays. Thank you so much, Susan, for being here. I say my husband is a long haul truck driver, and out that way often. I told him about Daniel, and he always looks closer at things when he's out there. I tell him I really appreciate that he's doing that. Thank you so much for telling him about the story. He listened to the CB too, because locals talk of those things. I hope so much for Daniel to be found. Yeah, you said CB. I just think about my days of driving trucks. I drove trucks for many years. I used to love being on that CB. But Yes, but thanks so much. Tell them I said thank you. And happy holidays to you both. Questions are the question here from Degon. Thanks so much for being here, sir. The question is, are there any search events coming up? Again, I haven't had any plans to do any search, and haven't planned to do any search right now. And it's a couple of reasons why. Funding is really hard, and sometimes one of the things I have really difficulty with right now is the funding, because a lot of times people look at it at the GoFundMe, for instance, say, hey, look, a lot has been collected, half over near going on 5 years, and those money was actually utilized as time goes. So GoFundMe don't actually say change it up. So I see the donations that moves really slow. It moves so slow that it's really hard to plan something like a search, right? Unless it had to come kind of quickly, like a bit bulk. It takes me to have like news coverage. Someone say on a news article, news station say, hey, like what happened with the Petito family when Joseph decided called me in January and say, hey, Mr. Robinson, hey Dave, man, I want to come to the search, right? Not for Gabby, but I want to come as a friend. I've been wanting to come, right? Yeah, I'm so happy to hear him come. But once they got wind of it and it hit the news, people come there and they want to donate to help this thing come to be, right? So, but that's one thing. The second part is I don't want to spend a lot, because what I did, believe it or not, the last search in April 12th, I had to budget really hard. I had to budget really hard with the funding. I had to plan everything. I have a team in Arizona. They say, you trying to do all that in a couple of days? Yes, I am, because that's all the funding I have. The funding had to last me to be there a couple of days before the search, because I had a mission. The mission is I was able to have to get back in Arizona to clear my son's storage unit that we couldn't afford. I was paying bills in Arizona, and I live in South Carolina. So bills I had to eliminate. So I had to go there and do a lot of eliminating storage units, with the vehicle storage, all this kind of stuff. And the way to do that was it was the hurtful things, because it's certain personal things of Daniel's that I wanted to keep. But the most part, when it comes to the investigation part, is also those things that needed to be forensically tested, that law enforcement just didn't do their job for those many years. So my goal was to not only have the search to cover those leads and those tips, but it's also to be in law enforcement face, because like they are not doing right now. They promised me a lot of things on April the 10th, but they haven't done it yet. They got on their police report that they swabbed his steering wheel, shifter, and door handle in 2021. This is 2025, and they still ain't doing nothing with it. So when they knew I left Arizona because of funding, I cannot maintain my house here in South Carolina and live in Arizona at the same time. They gave them shade to do nothing, the way I take it. Because when I was there, I had you guys backing me. I'm in their face constantly. And when they bragging about these little searches and stuff they do, it's only because I was there pushing them along the way. Because if I wasn't there, they won't do it. And the proof is what's happening right now. So what I'm saying, to have that event, it takes a lot out of me mentally. It takes a lot out of me physically. And it would take a lot out of me financially. And until I get something that's going to be like somebody say, hey, he's right there, basically. I don't have any plans to do any more searches, much as I need to, because like I said, there's a lot of areas out there that haven't been touched in my grid, believe it or not, after all this time. And some of those searches can only cover but so much land, because if I only got 20 people, we're not covering but so much. Back when first went missing, sometimes I had like 200 people. Man, we cover a lot, right? But when you come down to 20 people, 15 people, whatever the case may be, you're not putting a dent in that stuff, right? So, much of harder we work, and I'm not taking away from volunteers. I'm saying the harder we work out there, trust me, people who's on the ground with me, they'll tell you the desert is very intimidating, very intimidating. And so, but the possibility there of things that need to be searched, like I said, it have to be something that give me a pinpoint location where I can take whatever fund that I can grab and actually hit that pinpoint location without overextending things. But I saw something on the Instagram. I said Gibri. I said been following this case since Kendall Ray. Love those folks. Her and Josh covered it. Hope you get answers soon. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Kendall Ray and Josh was very, very good to me. They gave me the biggest donation so far to the GoFundMe. They also flew me out to Colorado and brought me on the show. And I thought it was kind of unique with them because I did a lot of podcasts with people, and they're the first ones. I would say must be big enough to fly you out somewhere, right? And they treated me very well. When I met Josh, he was came and got me from the hotel, and I mean it was really good. They treat you really well. Had a really great interview together, and got Daniel's story out there. So yeah, I really appreciate them. So I really appreciate what they have done. But thanks so much, Zodiac, for being here as well. I'm gonna put your question up there, Zodiac. But if you guys have any questions, please. That's not a question, but if you have any questions, you guys please put a question mark. I'm looking for those because I want to jump off real quick. It's been an hour, 20 minutes. I want to really talk about some of these missing American cases real quick, and then I come back to answering questions. But it puzzled me that those 11 additional miles had led to where the vehicles, I guess, was found. That's a crucial piece of your son's case, and the damage onto it, especially the windshield, like it had been beaten with something or beaten in or with something. And you're right. Those are critical things that my investigator pointed out. It didn't match the terrain, what law enforcement want the public to believe that for whatever reason. And it didn't miss the terrain. But, the other ironicity to this, and I'm telling you, it's so much things that's not in the public, and that's what it really hurts me, and it angers me because, unless you was actually on the ground with me every day, I'm a father who had to become a detective of his own rights. I mean, I even did so much that I started trying to get my own investigative license there. Did my own work, had to hire a private investigator who did his work, and I still was doing my work. And then I also had two other private investigators that you guys don't know about. One, all he did, and I don't put him in the public because he has the reasons, but he did everything that deal with human trafficking and things like that. He was also able to put my son on a system, face recognition system. And I don't know if I really should be saying this, but to help us locate. And so that's when I learned about the lanes. When I can say these cartel names, but I'm not going to do that either. But these areas where human trafficking and drug runs and all this kind of stuff goes through. I learned a lot about that. I have one other private investigator that worked directly with me outside of Jeff McGrath. His job, he was in another state though. He's in, I believe it was Washington State. Yes, at the time, but he moved. He was the person who gave me the pointers of what I should do and how to be in a private investor, what I should be looking for and do. So that's why I was able to do my own investigation on my own too, besides Jeff McGrath. And so what I'm saying is, when you start looking at the big puzzle that law enforcement don't want to tackle on, you have to look at the whole picture. And that's why I said I refute any law enforcement loving person who don't want to see the bad law enforcement, like I saw with Buckeye Police Department, versus the good ones that I saw, like in Tempe, for instance. I can use an example, who did everything they can to try to help and actually looking for something, versus those who try to cover, to me, was covering up. Because if you want to get the answers, you need to don't cherry pick what you want in your police report, right? When I gave law enforcement, for instance, information about what Ken told me, and I showed y'all pictures, and I have two witnesses who actually heard it themselves as well, and I was writing these things down as it was told to me from Ken, and then on thing they say, oh, that's what he told you, and you never see that in the report. You never see the report when I say I saw these gentlemen driving out of Dane's apartment with a vehicle just like his, laughing and giggling, run out at a high rate of speed. You never hear about the vehicle that was seen 2 days prior. Now, mind you, at the time, let's back up. You don't hear the story about the full story of the rancher who stored his opinions about what happened because he was there and the vehicle wasn't there for those 2 days. I mean, 2 days prior to it being there. You don't see those in the report. You don't see the other gentleman, I want to say his name, but who gave, and law enforcement know he is because they talked to him, who seen the vehicle off of Elliott and I think the name of the road right now, Jackrabbit Trail. And the vehicle sitting there on the side of the road. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that story, everybody, so you can understand this. Why I'm so thinking there's a cover up and so much with law enforcement. Now, when that vehicle showed up, before it showed up in that desert, 2 days before that, the vehicle showed up, according to the eyewitness who thought it was a vehicle. Him and his wife took a picture of it, went to Buckeye for it. They ignored him. He said they didn't want to talk to him out for whatever reason with it. And so he came to my family. My family alerted me. My family alerted me to this guy because he tried to put on their social media because they didn't take his call or something to that effect. So he put it to their social media trying to get them to say, hey, look, I've seen this vehicle, right? And so they didn't respond to him. So my family alerted me about it. I responded to it, him. And he was really happy to hear from me. He gave me the picture. I let my daughter look at it. She thought it favored his vehicle because it's blurry. It favored his vehicle, but it was good enough to say, yeah, that was it. But it was good enough to say it looked just like it, though. And so, from my daughter's point of view, I never seen a vehicle in person before. So the thing was, when he saw the vehicle, he described it. He said it's a lot of heavy damage on the front. And he said there's one thing that stuck with me, and I told law enforcement this, and they know it. Those impressions on the windshield, he mentioned about the windshield looked like it got beat in or something, right? That's what he said. So when I mentioned this law enforcement, I was really excited about it. And I called Detective Biffin, and I said, look, I'm on the way up to go grab my daughter, and we're going to go up to Buckeye, come up to Buckeye, and we're going to go up there and see this vehicle. He says, and then before I can finish my sentence, he's like, that's not your son's vehicle. And I was like, well, how you know that? You know, I said, have you got to look? He said, no, but it's not your son's vehicle. Like, well, how you know? Did you go look? No. But can y'all please go look up there? Because me and my daughter are on the way to go see, right? And I say, you gonna do this, right? He said, yeah, I'll send a cruiser out to go look. Okay, great. I went to go pick my daughter up and called the gentleman back and told him I was on the way up there. While I was on the way, and he said, well, okay, great. So we started heading, but then he called me right back. I mean, it's kind of like less than 15 minutes. He called me back, said, Mr. Robinson, the vehicle gone. I'm like, what you mean it's gone? He said, I just came out here to check it and it's gone. I'm like, well, how's that when Detective Biffin told me they was going to send a cruiser out, right? And so he said, I don't know. He said, but he did see a cruiser. His cruiser just passed him, right? One of the Buckeye Police Departments. And so I got a phone with him and called Detective Biffin. To this date, they would not tell me who towed that vehicle away, where it went, none of that stuff. But all I know, 2 days later, they say, oh, your son's vehicle was found in this desert, right? That's what they call me. And so that always gave me the suspicion that they know it was placed in that ravine, right? They always gave me that suspicion. And the second part of that suspicion came from the chief of police himself, I did 50 weeks of public searches. When I call public, that's only on the weekends, but not including the weekdays now, because we come out there on the weekdays too. A lot of people don't know. Sometimes I've been out that desert by myself because I needed that. But the 50 weeks of desert searches, that chief of police only came out there one time. And that was that weekend after he told me that vehicle, Detective Biffin told me that vehicle was there when I had a meeting. He came out that weekend to me, and this is my impression. I'm not going to go back on the story I told you guys this last week. But what he did when he ignored me and my daughter who was at that search, and he wanted everybody who was at my search to follow him over that hill. Because it's weird because the guy, and I could give y'all full context of the story, but even the guy that I was working with, I had to end up getting rid of him because he also was working with law enforcement, whatever. He had their scanner. I'll just go ahead and put that out. and I caught him. For whatever reason, Buckeye needed to know everything I was doing in that desert. And so when they when that guy showed up that used to work for me, he had the Chief Hall with him. And when Chief Hall got the vehicle, he just wanted to take me and my volunteers over this hill, which I didn't know they set it up because we have never been in this area before because we didn't have plans. I have meetings about my searches, where I want to search, where we're going to search this time, where I want the line searches, where I want, we have those things already set. But that morning he called me and said, David, I got another area I want you to take the volunteers because it's a big open area or whatever. But anyway, I did that. And lo and behold, it's right there. We was right there where the vehicle was found. And I didn't even know it. We were standing there waiting on him and Chief Hall, evidently. And when Chief Hall was speaking to me and to everybody like he was Moses or something, it's like he was selling us a story that out of the cartels did something to my son and that his vehicle was found right here, right? Like they did it or something. They put his vehicle down there or something happened. And so when he said it to me, I went to that hotel room after that same day I met the rancher too. He just happened to be there. But when I went to my hotel room that evening, that's all that played in my head over and over and over and over and over again. I say, this seemed like this chief was actually trying to sell me the story that the vehicle was there. This is before, and the crazy part about it is before I got my private investigator. And so when I got Jeff McGrath, and when he said all those things that it was staged and all the stuff and all the evidence he got, it made a lot of sense to me. It made a lot of sense. Like, okay, that goes with this guy trying to sell me this story. Then when I got the police report, they cherry pick what they put in that police report. If there's anything to make my son like he was obsessed with a woman and he was some kind of stalker and all kind of crap, a woman was able to put her own text messages up in their database, no scrutinize of it, no looking at a cam footage on her camera. She's saying he came to her house and all this crazy stuff, and none of that was validated. I'm just saying, but they put it in their report to sensationalize, even to the point where I have some things coming up against law enforcement. You guys can hear about it too. Sensationalizing my son's case. Who cares about a disgruntled worker, for instance? Mr. McGrath, what do you think about me and my GoFundMe? Or what do you think about, or what this person said? What any of that got to do with, my son being found from law enforcement? So when I see things like that in a police report, it's like, okay, are y'all trying to sensationalize my son to get people to have the idea like, oh, he's just some lost dude and we just need to move on type stuff or whatever the case may be? No, that's what I fight so hard for, you guys. You don't know I fight so hard. And people say they think I'm anti-police, but I'm not. I'm just this is my son we were talking about, first of all. So I'm anti anybody doing anything that's going to hurt my family, me, mine, or any family from that fact. But definitely my son, I have to look out for him first. And, to see these things was happening. Yeah, that's why I have the feelings I have about law enforcement. When I say, I'll say it like this. I went to a meeting with the mayor of Tempe, Mayor Woods. I had Chief Glover at the time. He's the police chief of Tempe Police, and Chief Anderson. Very good officer. Me and Chief Anderson spent many days eating lunch together, right? I even went to Attorney General Brown, who works for the U.S. Attorney General's office. Eat many times with these guys talking about Dan's case on lunch break and stuff like that. I've done a lot. So like I say, I'm far from being anti-police. What I'm saying is when I say that to them and I say, oh, law enforcement, I laugh because I remember Chief Anderson was saying to me, said, can you be specific, when you say stuff like that? So I had to keep reminding myself to say Buckeye Police Department, and not law enforcement, because when I say it that way, people thinking I'm talking about all law enforcement. No, one in my son's case who have not done the job, who is not doing the job. So my friend, he's a former law enforcement. I talked to some in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know how many times I get calls from officers all across the country who's apologizing for what Buckeye done, but then you find some of these ones who are like the FBI of Phoenix FBI field office, who are glorified police officers, what I call them, who threatened me when I came to find information about they was looking into my son's case in their security office or whatever, and not doing anything to my son's case. So what I'm saying is, and then you have people who outside look at Buckeye, what they say on paper versus what actually happens on the ground, what's actually happening in reality, because they wrote it, that means it's true. I get offended. I get offended because my son is still missing. He's still missing, and I know that the job that they claim they did, I did it, but they take the credit for it. And so the thing is, it's offensive. But anyway, sorry, I digress because I get a little uptight about it. But Linda, thanks so much for being here again. I didn't think whatever happened was in the desert. I think that is what they want you to think, and I agree with you on that. I really believe, and I strongly believe that, from other information that we are, again, I have a gentleman I'm working with right now. We're pairing some things up, and I'm really impressed with some of the things he found. Because it goes with my own investigation. When I say my own personal investigation, all the evidence I still have, things that haven't been released to the public yet. And when you say that, I have really strong evidence or belief that, yeah, the whole staging part of it, the whole dressing, the dressing of the whole event, all of that plays a part. I even have I promised someone I wasn't going to mention this in public, and I'm not, but I even have some parts that dealing with attorney issues and things like that I want to talk about. And I'm not putting it out yet because I still have an investigation going on. But some people who have to pay need to pay. I don't care if you're law enforcement or not. So the thing is, there's a lot of stuff that need to be looked into. But they may feel like they got me out of Arizona because I'm not a rich guy. I'm just a retired military dude living off of military retirement. And they know, funding for me is limited. I'm not going to be in their face. They probably say, whoo, that dude's gone. He got the heat. We got the heat off of Buckeye Police Department now, whatever they're thinking. But I'm still here. I'm still fighting in my own way. They still hear my phone call. They still get whatever. And I will be back up there to put some heat on behind. I remember Chief Anderson, back when I first got, he said, man, your name is out here in the streets. That type thing in Arizona. They know who I am. And when I get back out there again, they'll know what happened. So hello, David. I look forward to the day when Daniel is found. Remain encouraged. Yes. And know that we support your efforts. Send them in the prayers up for Daniel. Thanks so much. And, and I'll say this real quick before I jump on this real quick. I have to really share this with you all. These families, it's really important to share their stories. I'm saying this, God bless me that I like to say whenever you're going through a hard time, like having a missing loved one, right? And, I hope people understand when I say this. You kind of, God can make, sometimes good things come out of tragedy, right? Because, like I said, had Daniel not gone missing, I would never known about 600,000 Americans go missing, 3,000 Americans a day, and over 2,000 children. 40% of all missing cases are people of color. Though we make up only 13 or 14% of the population. Those kind of indigenous Americans that go missing, especially women and children at higher rates, rather because of rape and all kind of stuff that goes on the reservations. I would have never known all this stuff, right? And what I'm saying is, I remember when I was in the desert, and I'm saying this way because this world is so polarized, and so there's some hateful elements out there and all that stuff, right? And we all on this one big ball that's floating in the middle of nowhere in space. But this thing is, as a black man, right, going out in this desert, and I remember, oh man, like 200 people, right? And you have all these people who just came out to help. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It runs. Sometimes I think about it all the time. Even when I was doing the flyer distribution, when I had this thought, I need to get these flyers out here, right? And I built it. I got all these flyers, spent money on these flyers, and I put it in my truck in my car. And I put it out on social media. I was going to have it, and y'all meet behind Walgreens on, I forgot the name of the road now. And I got out there. The parking lot seemed like it was empty. I'm like, oh my God, I do this for nothing. But I took it in faith because I'm a faith man. So y'all hear me use the word faith a lot. My life is all about faith. So by faith, I took all the flyers out the trunk, took them out of my back seat, and I sat on top of the back of my vehicle. And when I went to go reach for something else inside my vehicle, I heard a voice say, "That was Mr. Robinson right there," something out of it. And there was a lot of people like coming out to get them flyers, right? So that was my flyer distribution, first distribution. But then it was, like I said, it's desert searches, all those people that came out over 200 deep sometimes, right? And I'm standing there with all these people, and I'm a black man, right? And I think about it, I said, I'm a black man. I have all these white people coming out here to look for my son, a geologist, a scientist, American, just like they are, just like we all. And I'm telling you, when I've been out of the desert, not one time nobody care about your race, nobody care about your political ideologies, your religion, none of that stuff. And we was like family. When I say like family, to me, that's what I felt. Because anytime somebody come out there on a Saturday, and on the weekdays too, but we're not talking about those, but come out there and spend your own gas money, your own time. And the desert is a risky place. You got wildlife out there. You do have mountain lions out there. You have coyote, you have snakes, you have scorpions, you have prospect, those mines, vertical mines out there, horizontal mines. You got, there's all kind of stuff, right? Hazardous stuff, right? And but you speaking of time, and then you got the heat. You got the heat in the summer, 118 degrees, and yet these people's out there. They was out there like the search was on until 11 o'clock, trying to get people out before noon, before it get too hot. And shoot, we was out there sometimes before I did the city stuff more so. We was out there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes, on a rescue mission for Daniel. So and then when you talk to people, you get to know them. We all like family. We see each other every week. And then you start sharing stuff. And a lot of people that was out there, a couple of them, had missing loved ones of their own, but it's out there helping me search for my son. So, so what I'm saying is, it helped me learn a lot, right? It made me learn a lot about people, about things. And so it also helped me become an advocate to try to help other people too. So I had to share myself too. Though I did a lot of stuff, and I promise you, I'll be lucky I'll get 2 or 3 hours of sleep every night since Daniel went missing. I just recently have started being able, because of something I won't talk about right tonight, but deal with being on the campaign trail. Recently, I had someone that gave me an opportunity to be able to sleep more than 6 hours, right? And so I remember feeling that way out there in that desert. And I try to do everything I can. So that's why I started saying, you know what, I'm advocating not just for my son, because Daniel would have it no other way either. And that's the reason why I pushed to get this Daniel Robinson Foundation. That's why I pushed to do, despite of how tired I was and how much I didn't do nothing for myself. I remember my team was always asking me, I like being around water. Everybody know it. It's kind of fun. I laugh because Daniel always wanted me in Arizona. And I like, man, Arizona does not have enough water for me. I like the beaches. I'm just a beach guy. That's what I am. I'm a tropical person, and here I am spending 2 years out in Arizona, in some dry place, right? And so, but what I'm saying is, I'm able to take something that God blessed me to build, and I was working 3 months straight before Gabby went missing, and to get his story on a high enough platform where when the tragedy of Gabby happened, they had that talk about the white woman syndrome thing, and they compared what was happening in Daniel's case, what was going on at the time, and that elevated Daniel's story even further to the national side of things to talk about that kind of conversation. But what I'm saying is, it also became an avenue for me to say, look, we need to talk about the whole missing American case, period. Right? Don't say missing persons no more. We're talking about missing Americans, right? And so we know who our people are. We know who's missing, and we need to find out why and all this kind of stuff, right? So I've been dedicating myself from that time to do that. I have to. I don't have all the funding in the world to do it. So I'm not as great as being a one-man team most of the time. I'm not as great as some of these other advocates out there who got teams and be able to do all these things, but I have a mouth, right? So, and I'm asking you guys, and you've been a part of that too. When you listen to me, you have a mouth to help me help too by sharing people's stories. So that's why I want to jump on this right now and say, look, it's my duty and my obligation and my honor to talk about other people's loved ones' stories. So I'm gonna start off this way. I'm gonna put this case on, and then I'm gonna go to the next case, and then we can talk about it. So thank you so much, everyone. And just please hang in there with me just a little while longer. Thank you so much.
It's been 6 months, and we understand what the probabilities are, but we also know what the possibility is.
The family of Broadway star Zelig Williams is talking about how hard the 181 days since he vanished have been.
It's real difficult for me, but I just push forward and let God deal with me.
Williams' family reported him missing October 4th after a suspicious SOS cell phone ping from Zelig's phone. The ping signaled a crash. Richland County deputies later found his car at the Palmetto Trailhead just off of Bluff Road, not far from his home. Deputies say a witness has come forward saying they saw Williams that day near the trail.
The way Zelig left the house, and as soon as he left 18 minutes later, that crash and that ping, and he wasn't dressed like he would normally be dressed. You've seen his Facebook. He cares about his appearance, and so he left to come right back home from what we could see and believe. So to have him disappear in this way, it's our belief that foul play is afoot.
Williams disappeared during severe weather in October, and the Wateree River crested at nearly 106 feet, covering or even washing away any potential clues about his disappearance. The family says they are taking different steps to find answers.
We'll continue the search by doing more research into the groups and the people that he was speaking to right before he went missing. Also looking at some of the churches he was attending right before he went missing. There's a lot of avenues we haven't had the opportunity to dive into.
And there is a lot of information that has come to us, and we are trying to put all the puzzle pieces together, and we will. But with that said, and I think that we are going to be contacting Richland County this week because we do have requests from them. And, if they can or cannot, we will be doing it. And that no one's going to stop us on that.
We have requested an interview with the lead investigator on the case since the Richland County Sheriff's Department addressed the case in a news conference back in October. No questions were taken at the time of the conference, and since there have been very few details released. We reached out again today asking for answers, and we are still waiting for that interview. According to the Williams family, there will be new searches in new areas starting in May, and they are asking anyone who wants to join in to join them. In Columbia, Sharia Adams, Watch Fox News.
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching that with me. Again, that's why I wanted to make sure that we talk about not just Daniel's story, but there's so many families who actually are suffering right now. I know Zelig Williams family, very wonderful people, God-loving people, and the fortunate story of Zelig going missing in the prime of his life, doing some wonderful things in Broadway, You guys know, you probably heard the story, but one thing is really ironic to me is that we have people here in South Carolina. Like I said before, at one point I did not know that so many people go missing in this country, but yet we have, just like here in South Carolina, we have over 281 people as of February this year that have been missing in our state. Right, that's just South Carolina. Imagine some of these other states. Like I said, that was, when I say in February, that was in February, and the numbers always go up and it never goes down. Just to have people missing, like I said, in those rapid rates, and that's right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Like I said, rapid rates is really problematic. But Zelig, he's 28 years of age, of course, black male, light complexion. He's 6 foot tall. He's 150 pounds. He has black hair. The length of his hair is very short. You can see the picture here. He's been last seen on October the 3rd of 2024, around 9:50 a.m. Zelig Williams is 28, 28 years old, a male Broadway dancer. He has been missing since October the 3rd, 2024. He was last seen around 9:50. That's the time I wanted to put in. Leaving his home on the 400 block of Longwood Road in Columbia, South Carolina. His SUV was found in the Congaree National Park area, but he has had no contact with his family or friends since. Though, if you saw in the video, someone thought they saw him in the area. Zelig is during the time, he was in need of some of his prescription medicine and things like that. So it was one of those cases where you had to say, look, we have to do what we have to do to make sure we bring this young man home. I remember when I first met the family, I went out to one of the searches and met the family. It was so reminiscent of what happened with Daniel. We out there as a family, out there had to go through those wooded areas. We had to go through a little swamp area. They had some little duck little areas, I guess where wild geese and things like that. But that whole area was saturated with places of waterways, you could say, in a sense. We made it up to a railroad track where it just goes on, right? And it's not like woods here in South Carolina. It's different from out there in the desert. It's wide open, but the woods is very intense because there's a lot of places that can be hidden. You can't, I'm serious. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of people to actually search a ground like that. So my heart goes out to the family. And I just want to say really quick too, is if you have any information, you need to reach out to the Richland County Sheriff's Office. Their phone number is 803-576-3000. Again, that's 803-576-3000. The Zelig Williams family. Please, you guys have any information, please reach out and help this family. Very lovely family. They came out to a candlelight vigil for my son at the State House this year. So I really appreciate them as a family. I call them my family too. So, but yes, definitely if you have information, please reach out to Richland County Sheriff's Office and help bring Zelig home. I have another family real quick I'm going to share here with you again. So thank you.
Investigators say Kaya Taylor had just left her boyfriend's house nearly a mile away. Plant City police found her car left running on the railroad tracks, her belongings inside.
Every day is different. Some days I'm just broken, hurt. Some days I'm angry.
But one feeling that remains constant, Kenitha Taylor's hope that she'll one day see her daughter again.
She used to do something that would irritate me sometimes, but it was hold my hand all the time. Even as old as she is, she would want to hold my hand when we were in the store, and I thought about it the other day. I said, I miss that.
It's a situation that just doesn't add up for Kenitha.
As soon as I realized the conditions of the car, I knew immediately something's wrong. She wouldn't just walk away from her life.
And just weeks after police found Kaya's car, her mother says her shoes were found just up the road.
I felt that they were placed there, and it was somebody maybe was remorse.
By now, Kenitha Taylor was hoping for more answers.
There's no trace, there's no evidence, there's nothing. So it's like we're sitting from the very day that we found her car until now. There's like there's nothing.
Instead, time has seemingly stood still.
It's kind of like a twilight zone.
While the sheriff's office continues to follow leads, they're hoping their new cold case podcast called Unfinished Business helps bring answers for families like the Taylors.
These cases are extremely heartbreaking, even devastating to the families of these victims. We're hoping that this will generate new leads.
Somewhere, someone knows something. So maybe if they're seeing that the family's just not going away quietly in the night, we really are going to continue to look for until we find closure.
Anyone with information on this case is asked to call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
All right, folks, there's the phone number to the Sheriff's Office, 813-247-8200. 813-247-8200. We'll keep that number up. Don't worry, it's not going away. We'll keep it up through the segment. You'll see it. But if you have information, please reach out. Do the right thing, because as her mom said in the piece, I know someone out there knows something.
Yes, yes. Here was another family. I have more families, and somehow they, what I had preset is disappeared from the page. But I would do this again next week. Share some loved one's story. I call them loved ones. We all in this family together. Kaya, she's a sister of a friend of mine, Katrina. She's Katrina with the Missing Struggle. If you guys know about the Missing Struggle, Katrina, just like myself, decided to take her pain and put some action with her pain to help other families. She's out there doing the work. I call her the ground person. She's actually doing work that a lot of people don't even know about. So she's doing a whole lot of stuff when it comes to helping families. So look out for the Missing Struggle. But her mother, Kaya's mother, excuse me, Kyla Taylor, Miss Taylor, Kaya's mother, we need to bring her daughter home. We need to bring her daughter home. We see a mother in pain. And again, Kaya's mother, Miss Taylor, she said that one thing about Kaya holding her hand, want to counsel her to hold her hand and things like that. Some of those things that we remember, like I said, those family dynamic type things, you give anything to do that again. Now, hindsight, back now. With the situation going on, you give anything for those certain kind of moments. And so let's bring Kaya back home. Kaya Annette Taylor is her name, last seen February the 6th, 2020. Her age is seen was 28 years old, when she was last seen. Her hair, red auburn. Her eyes is brown. Her height is 5'6". She's 170 pounds. The circumstances around Kaya's disappearance. She was last seen around 4 p.m. on Thursday, February the 6th, 2020, when she left the residence on Cowart Road in Plant City, that's in Florida, after dropping her boyfriend off. Her car was found around 7 p.m. abandoned at East Trapnell Road, just west of Jap Tucker Road in Plant City, Florida. The car was unlocked and running on the railroad track. See that, you guys? The crazy thing, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to pre-talk this, but I think law enforcement say it wasn't foul play, but the car's running on a railroad track and she was nowhere. But the Taylor family is offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to them finding Kaya. Crime Stoppers are offering up to $5,000 also. Their Facebook page is Finding Kaya. The Instagram page is @FindingKaya, and you can email the family at findingkaya@yahoo.com. If you have any information regarding Kaya Taylor, please contact the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and this is another number at 813-247-8000. That's 813-247-8000, or the family directly at the above social media account, which I just said the social media account is Facebook Finding Kaya, and Instagram is @Finding Kaya, and the email is findingkaya@yahoo.com, and Kaya is spelled CIEHA. Also, I had another family I wanted to put up. Like I said, it's disappeared on me. I'm going to have to put it on the next episode. Next time I come next week. His name is Mr. Kruk, Alex Kruk. He's went missing as well. His family is looking for him. I will have those information with you. I don't have it on me now, and I don't want to mess that up. But definitely want to talk about these families. I want to bring them back home. It's my obligation, my duty to do so, along with fighting for my own son And if you guys, please, if you hear anything on anything I'm doing, please share. Please share. And that's all families ask for, is to share a story, because that goes a long way. Long way. Believe it or not, it goes a long way. We're depending on you guys, because not every story is going to make it on the news channels, on Fox News or CNN or ABC News or whatever. Some of these talk shows or whatever. Some of these things are not going to make it there, but you can make it there when you guys pick a story every day, or once every week, whatever you want to do, and share somebody's loved one's story, because that goes a long way to find the answers and bringing their loved one home, because somebody you know might know something you don't know they know, but they know something. They share with somebody else who end up eventually getting to where it need to go. I have Susan. Thank you so much for being here. My husband is a long haul truck driver. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I've read yours already. But thank you so much again, Susan. And again, thank your husband for me for looking out for Daniel. Question from Linda: don't you think whatever happened to Daniel in the desert? I think that was, or didn't happen. Okay, I think I have this. I think I'll get some of the same question I had before. I apologize, everyone, but I'm trying to go down so I can get all your questions and make sure I'm not missing anybody. And you are too basic for me, as did I have a TikTok. I do have a TikTok. I have a personal TikTok. I have one for my campaign, and I have one, Please Help Find Daniel. I haven't been on the Please Help Find Daniel for a while. I've been trying to do this juggling, this political thing. And again, you guys, you all know, many of you probably don't know, but I'm running for office. I ran last year against a 23-year incumbent to the U.S. Congress. I'm running for U.S. Congress. And I didn't win last time, but I did win over 81% of the vote in my primary last time in 2024. I won 41% of the vote against a 23-year incumbent in the presidential election. That was the midterm, the general election. And then I'm running again now, so this will be in 2026. And I have a primary. I have a primary that's coming up in this June coming against another gentleman, so I can run in the midterm election this coming in 2026. So in November 3rd. So I've been very busy with that. That's why you barely see me on trying to talk about Daniel a whole lot like I really want to, and things I want to do, because I'm pushing legislation. You guys probably know when I was out there fighting for Daniel, also been thinking about the stuff that my family's going through, what we had to fight through just to try to get help for Daniel, all the advocacy work I've been trying to do. And then I sat in my place, and I wrote some legislation. I know there's a lot of legislation out there. We got Billy's Law. We got some of these other ones that I talked to some friends of mine. They do some things that's kind of similar to what I'm looking at, but what I'm doing is goes a lot farther. It's very, very specific to certain things. And so I've been pushing this legislation, and I have it coming to the floor, hopefully here in South Carolina in January next month. And I'm also, I wrote it for U.S. Congress. I wrote this legislation for U.S. Congress. I'm not even an elected official yet, but yeah, I'm writing legislation. Wrote this legislation for U.S. Congress. I decided to run for U.S. Congress because I want to fight for missing Americans, to get this stuff pushed. Because I told those telecommunication companies, the ones I had meetings with when I was in Arizona, that I was coming through their back door. Back door, they didn't know what that means. Not robbing somebody. When I said back door, I'm coming in through Congress. I'm gonna get some changes made, so that families can have power, and also the law enforcement have better tools to help find missing Americans. So that's why I'm running for office. One of the reasons, but it can't be the only reason why I'm running for office. But that was the main reason that caused me to run for office, is for my son and for you guys who got missing loved ones. So I need support for that too. But it's just that that's what I'm doing. So those who don't know, but yeah, what I think happened was in the desert. You asked that question right there as well. But yeah, I'm doing a whole lot of things at one time simultaneously. But overall, like I said, the biggest point is for me when I come here, Please Help Find Daniel side of things, the Daniel Robinson Foundation, is to say, look, we're fighting for our missing Americans of every place in this country, and the way to do that is we have to have people who's backing each other. I'm backing everyone who's fighting for it, and I hope you guys backing me too. So take care, you guys. I'm about to jump off. It's been 2 hours on here. And I will be back, like I said, 8:30 Friday, every Friday, 8:30 p.m. That's Eastern time, 8:30 p.m. That's 5:30 p.m. if you're out in that's California, and 6:30 p.m. if you're in Arizona. I guess Arizona would be Mountain Time. I think California would be Pacific Time, and of course we here in South Carolina, that's Eastern Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. Again, 5:30 Pacific Time if you're in California, and I think Mountain Time is Arizona. It'll be 5:30 p.m. So I'll be doing this next week. I have some more content. I'll talk about Daniel's story. I'll take your questions. Talk about other American story, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you, everybody. And if if some of you can't come back next week, and the holidays come up and things like that, have a good holiday with your family. I'm gonna say it every time before I jump off. Please love your family, because you never know, it'll be an opportunity. And I don't wish this on nobody, but I would have never thought in a million years there would come a time I can't look at my son in the eye and say I love you, or on the phone hear him say he loved me back, or like me and the lady can identify and appreciate as a parent. I give anything for Daniel to be able to aggravate me about something, and so you never know when those things that you think you're angry about, when it becomes a point where you can't tell your loved one. I keep wanting to say this, when you can't tell your loved one that you love them despite of being mad at them at the moment. That become a problem, because you never know, you might not be able to do it again. So I always like to say, even if you have like a disagreement, you can easily say, hey, look, I love you, but I just can't talk to you right now. But at least they know you love them, right? I just can't talk right now. I need to get over this, or whatever the case may be. But please, you guys, please spend all the time you can with your families through the holidays. Like I say, holidays are meant for different people, have different reasons for the holiday. Some don't celebrate, some do. But ultimately, I'm sure the country kind of shut down. So I'm sure most of us have time off to spend with our family. So take that little time off, whether you call it a federal holiday, or you call it Christmas, or you call it whatever. Take some time off with your family if you can. So, all right. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you guys next time. So take care. All right, see you then.